Far Cry 3 is one of those games that just keeps giving. I played this game for the first time back in 2013, 11 years ago. Recently, after a very busy month at work, I started to replay it. I really wanted to see how it holds up in 2024. And since I'd played the newer Far Cry games not so long ago, I thought it would be really cool to see how my Far Cry 3 experience compares to the experiences I've had with the newer games. Going back to this masterpiece was actually totally worth it. I'm actually more impressed by the game right now than I was when I first played it. I knew going back to Far Cry 3 that the experience was gonna be good, but never expected it to be this good. I'm actually having a blast with this one right now. This game has aged surprisingly well. So let's talk about a few things that make this game stand the test of time. First off is the open world design itself. Even today it feels incredibly fresh. The setting of the Pacific Islands is exotic and beautiful. The vast diverse environments of Rook Islands, from jungles to beaches to ancient temples, are still incredibly engaging to explore. The world is packed with fun activities, and even if you're not chasing the main storyline, there is a ton of stuff to do. I've spent a decent amount of time just exploring, hunting, trying to craft rucksacks, trying to craft holsters and whatnot, trying to also earn some money and buy some good weapons. All these activities are super fun because of the beauty of the open world, which still looks stunning in 2024. Games often suffer from outdated mechanics, but Far Cry 3 offers a timeless sense of adventure. The way the game encourages and rewards exploration, whether it's hunting animals or taking out enemy outposts, feels just as satisfying today as it did when I played it for the first time. Next, let's quickly talk a bit about the story too. Far Cry 3 is a perfect example of a game that knew how to balance a personal journey with pure insanity. Jason Brody's transformation from a terrified tourist to a ruthless warrior is compelling, but what really steals the show is the villain, Vaas Montinegro. Vaas is still regarded as one of the best video game villains of all time, and it's really easy to see why. His unpredictability, charisma, and iconic monologues leave a lasting impression. That is exactly why, even more than a decade later, he is still the best villain from the entire Far Cry series. Then the gameplay itself holds up really well. The gunplay is solid, the feel of each weapon, the intensity of firefights, and the smooth controls make the combat a blast. But what really stands out is the freedom of choice when it comes to approaching missions. You can go in guns blazing, or use stealth, or even use the environment to your advantage, and if you want to get even crazier, you can use the wildlife against your enemies, which is super cool. The kind of freedom that this open world shooter offered was something that really made me fall in love with this game when I played it for the first time. It was such an amazing formula. Every single game in the series afterwards tried to do pretty much the same thing because it was that damn good. In fact, when we are talking about the Far Cry games, we are basically talking about the traits, the characteristics of Far Cry 3. A good villain, a good looking open world, good combat, crafting, skill trees, hunting and whatnot. We are basically talking about all the things that Far Cry 3 introduced. I replayed Far Cry 5 a few months ago and completed Far Cry 6 last year, and I think the gameplay holds up surprisingly well against the newer games. With an amazing villain and a really good story, Far Cry 3 is basically the father of the modern Far Cry formula. It is the truest Far Cry experience. But what about the graphics, the visuals? I mean, it has to be an area where the game struggles to keep up with the modern Far Cry titles, isn't it? Well, to be honest, I think the game holds up surprisingly well in terms of visuals too, even in 2024. I think the only area where the game really does look dated is the lighting at the night time. Apart from that, I think it holds up just fine in terms of graphics. I mean, it is definitely not gonna blow you away. It's a 12-year-old game after all. But still, the game looks good enough in my opinion. The art direction was truly impressive for the time. The vibrant landscapes of the Rook Islands, the way the sun filters through the trees, the dynamic weather system, and the water which looks really nice. All these things create a world that still looks gorgeous, even by today's standards. The graphical fidelity may not be on par with modern games, but the art direction still holds up. There's something about the tropical setting that feels timeless. The color palette and lighting are just amazing. Then the soundtrack is very important when it comes to immersion, and Far Cry 3 absolutely nails it. The mix of atmospheric music and intense action tracks perfectly complements the game's tone. I mean, the music during the intense moments or when you're just driving through the jungle, it really elevates the experience. The soundtrack is unforgettable, and that's one of the things that keeps you coming back to the game. Far Cry 3 has had such a massive influence on the open world genre. Many of the mechanics and systems it introduced have become staples in modern open world games. It doesn't matter whether you're replaying it or experiencing it for the first time, you are definitely gonna have a really good time with Far Cry 3 because it is a game that has aged gracefully. It's not just nostalgia, it's a testament to strong design, storytelling, and gameplay mechanics that still hold up even in 2024. 2024. Going back to this one has been a surprisingly good experience for me. Whether it is fighting a bunch of Komodo dragons or running into a tiger out of nowhere, I am having a blast with this game. You know what? I think you should too. By the way, what is your least favorite Far Cry game? Do let me know down in the comment section. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Peace out.